Hello and welcome to episode 9 of Chaps Chatting Champs. Good morning, Brant.
Good morning, Josh.
And good morning, everybody.
All right, Josh. Did you know that Guardians of the Galaxy 3 has earned $659.1 million internationally so far?
I did not know that, but I'm very glad to hear it's doing well because I finally got to see it recently and I absolutely loved it.
I mean, everybody wants to see Rocket, right? And it's a story about Rocket.
It
So,
yeah, so good. Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania drastically underperformed at the box office, which made me sad 'cause I thought that one was really good and the reviews were exceedingly poor for it for some reason, and I thought it felt like a really good MCU movie. So I'm glad to see Guardians seems to be riding the ship and doing well. 650 million already is definitely a step in the right direction.
yeah, I mean, it's just such a great ensemble cast, the actors and all the characters they pulled together. And it's really amazing to see kind of one of the comic books that's definitely not of the popular variety that has just really risen to fame and I mean captured my heart.
Oh
So
yeah, and super worthy because as a comic book, when they relaunched with Dan Abnett and somebody's first name Lanning, writing the Guardians of the Galaxy story was phenomenal with a story called Annihilation Wave, and then going from there is yeah not popular, but some of the best comic books I've ever read. So I'm glad that the movie quality matched the comic book quality. So good. I cannot recommend enough.
absolutely. I hope everybody gets a chance to see it at some point. So all right, let's move on with our discussion for the day. Are you ready for our
Yeah,
10-minute topic?
I am. Let's do it.
All right, today I want to talk about 4 and 5 cost allies because I feel like these are
Hmm.
some of the ones that are maligned is probably a strong word, but not utilized as much. And particularly, I could see in something like solo play where it could be trickier, where you're trying to make your deck very efficient. I think
Mhm.
it's harder to fit in those 4 and 5 cost allies. Do you play 4 and 5 cost allies, Josh?
Well, that is what I was gonna say. I'm really looking forward to this topic. I don't know what you're gonna say, but I do know I often do not play 4 and 5 cost out. I'll play Nick Fury for
Right.
sure, but he doesn't really cost 4 because pretty much always draw the 3 cards. I have played Heimdall a time or 2 in a, Nebula leadership deck that I quite enjoy, but beyond that, yeah, it is pretty rare for me, and part of it is because, like you say, in solo, it's you gotta be efficient, and that takes up pretty much your whole turn, so it better be really good.
Yeah, I think what happens with the 4 and 5 cost houses, what I hear a lot of people say is like at that cost, they better be game changing. And I think a lot of them don't feel game changing to people. And I think a reason for that is a lot of the 4 and 5 cost allies help you play the long game often. So like they'll
Mm,
thwart for two a lot or have a lot of health. So they're gonna kind of play control, but you don't have a lot of 4 and 5 cost allies that are coming in and deal 10 damage or whatever it is. Uh,
right.
the the Winning Moves podcast was talking about Nova. What is Nova Prime
Mhm.
recently, and how he removes a non-elite minion, and then kind of when you think about a lot of the minions, you think about the frustrating ones being the elite minions, but there's actually a lot of non-elite minions, so you do kind of get that effect with him.
Mhm.
Um, so I think the key with the 4 and 5 cost allies often is to have resources. So you want to have table resources, you want to have double resources in your hand, maybe a power of that relates to their aspect. So
Mhm.
you really don't want to take a 6 hand size, discard 5 of your cards, and play a 5 cost ally. Like that's
Right.
not super efficient, even if it's Heimdall, who's very good and can come in and thwart, or deal 3 damage when it's really needed. And in solo, gives you that great effect, like global logistics, I believe, where you look at the top three and pick one
Right.
to get rid of, and etc. So there's a lot of control there. But the key is having those table resources, your helicarriers, your hero generators, whatever it is, and then the double resources in your hand to be able to play them and get
Mhm.
them out. Now, like you said, Nick Fury is very popular. And then there's others, like I know people love the Yondu Voltron build and
Right,
the
right.
Iron Man Voltron build. Are those some that you've tried?
No, that's
Gotcha.
another thing with me. It's a blind spot that often shows up in my comment section is I tend to forget about the Voltron thing just because for some reason it's never been part of my play style, but I keep wanting to do it. And certainly Yandu and Iron Man are a great place to go for that.
Well, I'm going to click over here. I'm on Marvel CDB and I have a list of them, and I'm just going to go through and find some of my favorites. Really, my thing is to encourage people to try some of them and see what happens. Now, there's some that are kind of obvious, like Beast. I know a lot of people tend to play Beast because you get the resources back, same as
Yeah,
Nick, right?
that's one I play for sure.
So I think people can see some of that. I think we see a little bit of Sharon Carter because of the threat removal and the ability to ready the helicarrier, or in some other characters. But some of the ones I really like, I'm trying to actually look down this list and find a few here. So Lockjaw is one that's really interesting because he can really help with those one thwart heroes because he can come in thwart for two and then block for you, and he comes from the discard pile. So he actually kind of like his effective cost is 4, so he's really kind of a
A
3,
little bit cheaper, yeah.
is the idea.
All right, so
Uh,
far I'm 3 for 3 on these, so maybe I do play 4 cost allies because I actually quite like all 3 of these. I love Sharon Carter. I think she's, in a lot of ways a game changer, and not even necessarily having to be a full-on shield build. I like her pretty much just with a helicarrier. Like, if I'm using one, I don't mind using the other because she's pretty solid just by herself, thwarting for 2.
right, right. Um, 2 of the ones I really like are She-Hulk aggression. She comes in and she does kind of the long game thing. She comes in and thwarts for 2 and takes damage and then starts punching for the damage she has on her. So
Mhm.
she's going to initially help you control and then start to hit really hard. So I think she's a really fun one to play. And one that I really, really like a lot, and I know people are scared to play, is Sentry.
Uh-huh.
Have you played the Sentry aggression ally?
I have because of you. I've seen a debate would be a strong word, but a discussion about whether or not he was worth playing. And you made a convincing argument, and I put him in a Black Panther deck I was running that was sort of designed to bring in more encounter cards because I like Black Panther to have a lot of targets for the
Hmm.
upgrades. And yeah, you get so much value out of him. That one upgrade or the one encounter card just pales in comparison to how much he ends up doing for you.
Yeah, so he has 2 threat removal and 3 attack, and he has 5 health. But he gives you
Right.
that encounter card, which is kind of what scares people off. But again, 9 times out of 10, if not more often than that, an extra encounter card early in the game is just not going to slow you down. Or
Hmm.
it's not, sorry, it's not going to defeat you that early. So he'll be able to power through that. The other big part of these allies, like Sentry, is just put a single first aid in your deck if you have a couple 4 and 5 cost allies in there. And suddenly you're just getting huge value because healing allies is a huge, huge thing compared to healing yourself.
Hmm. Oh, I really like that because if you're not playing expensive allies with a lot of health, you're probably also not playing that type of strategy. So that's just a completely different way to play altogether. And again, something I haven't really explored very much.
Yeah, so that would kind of be my encouragement for people would be to try some of these 4 and 5 cost allies, load up your deck. So if you're going to play a sentry, put 2 power of aggressions in there so that you're more likely to have double resources to play sentry. Put them out early. Again, like I said, I'm not saying on your hero hand you draw 5 and you commit all 4 to play them. I think that's kind of the trap with the 4 and 5 cost
Hmm.
allies is pitching everything. But if you get those double resources and then you're still able to play another card on your turn, I think you'll really see those benefits of some of them. And then there's just some fun ones like Beta Ray Bill. He's super awesome if he comes into play. I have a deck that I love, and it is the Venom leadership, and I call it the team of experts.
Okay.
And it feels very much like the Guardians of the Galaxy. So you're playing Venom, you're using his ability to take a damage to generate a resource, and then you're using Welcome Aboards. So that's another card that can play allies. It generates 2 resources for
Hmm.
allies. And suddenly you can get all these allies on the table. And then I just use a whole bunch of the Guardians upgrades. Now, Beta Ray Bill's not a Guardian, so you've got to attach an honorary Guardian to him.
Oh, wow. He's just Asgard, isn't he?
Yeah, so you've got to attach that to him to get him there. But kind of using like Gamora, Rocket, him. I'm trying to remember some of those. I think Yondu's in there. And what I do is I just put the first ally I get on the table, and then I just start attaching upgrades to them. Like I don't. It's
Mm.
very Guardians. It's like, oh well, if you can reach it, grab it. If you can get that, grab that. It's not about I am going to build up this ally. It's just a fun deck. And then if people die, they go out of play, and then I'm going to bring in the other ones. And I put a single first aid in there, and just as the first aid comes up as I'm going through my deck, as I'm drawing through, I heal whoever is necessary at the time. It's a really, really fun
Hmm.
deck, and it uses a lot of those more expensive allies in there that you can get out on the table and get a chance to try them out. And yeah, so it's really neat. So I would encourage people to try it. What are you
I
thinking,
real
Josh?
well, I really like that idea as far as, Voltron. I think one of the reasons I haven't been one to play Voltron is just in my head, I have this idea that, well, I've got this ally that I have in mind that I wanna pile all this stuff on, and what if I don't get it, early enough? But you're saying have a whole bunch of potential targets, and it doesn't matter really which one you get, you just get the upgrades on there and go nuts. So that makes a lot of sense to me,
It
and,
works super well, and it's very fun. It's very scrappy, like the Guardians of the
mm,
Galaxy.
well,
That's
I
what I
love
was thinking.
that. And the other thing I was thinking is, you just use the phrase, just try it. And I think a lot of times with cards in this game, that's really what we just have to do. Like if you're thinking I don't want to play these four cost allies because they're so expensive and I don't think they're going to pay it off, just try it out. Just throw one or two in a deck, and if you get a chance to play them, and I completely agree, don't play them if it's the only thing you're going to be able to do that turn. And I think that's good advice for just expensive cards in general. I usually won't play an Avengers Mansion for how good it is if I don't have a double to play it. And sometimes I won't even play Nick if I don't have a double to play him because I want to make sure that I'm getting as much done on my turn as possible. So certainly don't drop your whole hand, but if you get the opportunity to get Sentry on the table or Sharon or She-Hulk, just play it and see what happens. And yeah, you might discover like, okay, this was actually super worth it. But sometimes you just have to see it before you can really see how good it's gonna be.
Yeah, and that's really my encouragement to people. It's not, oh no, we're not playing these allies, we're playing wrong. It's, hey, if the game is, you're waiting on the next things to come and you've played through a lot of the stuff, try these out, see what you can do. Either build a deck around one or throw one in with some of those resources to see what you can do with them. And see if you find some that you really enjoy. That is our time, but I do have one other thing that we have to bring up with expensive allies, and
Okay.
that is the leader of the Guardians, Star Lord himself.
Yeah, he is a bit of an enabler in that regard.
Because he can play them for three fewer resources. Now, obviously, early on, you're probably going to want to get the gun down, and there might be a couple other things. But if you have a nowhere out and you can drop a 5 cost ally by taking an encounter card, playing it, and then drawing a card, playing it for two, and then drawing a card, which is a double in your hand. You've
Mhm.
lost 2 cards in your hand, drew another card,
And you've got
and
a monster on the table.
you've got a big character on the table. So I
Mhm.
highly recommend trying some of these in a Star Lord build. And there's a lot of others we didn't even get into Justice and some of the ones that are there, or even in Protection, where there's some really neat ones. So, but that is most of our time for our discussion today. But yeah, that's my thing. I just want people to try some of those higher end ones and see what they do, and maybe report back to us, or maybe you're already using them and let us know some of your favorite 4 and 5 costs, especially if you have one in Justice or Protection, because I feel like we didn't talk about that a lot.
Yeah, I know, the 4-cost Warpath is coming with Angel, and he certainly looks very interesting, so hopefully he'll get some play, and, yeah, for people like me who maybe often don't try them, that will be another encouragement, just some really, really interesting ones coming down the line. So, well, yeah, that is going to do it. So, I think it is time to jump into this or that. And Brant, I was telling you before we got started that the this or that questions from the live stream last week were so darn interesting. So, I was really trying to up my this or that game, and I don't think I did.
So we need to get some this or that questions. Of course, now I'm going to ask people to put it in the chat, which means it'll be for
We'll
my
have, yeah.
episode.
You just
So do the work for me.
keep getting out of that, don't you? That's funny how
But
that works.
always feel free to give us a pile of this or that questions, and Josh and I will scour them and use them
Yeah.
from the comments below.
Be very helpful if you've got some good ideas. All right, here we go. Here we go. For an afternoon out, an aquarium or a baseball game?
Baseball game.
Team up cards in solo, yay or nay?
Nay, with exceptions.
Yeah, I'm really excited for the Angel Psylocke one. That one I think I will be worth playing in solo.
Yeah.
Upcoming Disney Plus projects, Secret Invasion or Loki season 2?
Oh, I was gonna say Ahsoka.
Oh, wow. Yes.
But I guess I'll go Secret Invasion.
Champions or Web Warriors?
Web Warriors.
70s music or 90s music?
90s.
Good man. Basic events, meditation or spiritual meditation?
Mm. Meditation. I can use it with more heroes.
My Hero Academia, Midoriya or Bakugo?
Midoriya.
Pulse grenade or plasma pistol?
Plasma pistol. Love that thing.
Pringles or popcorn?
Popcorn.
And psionic trait or mystic trait?
Ooh, I'm just so excited for the potential of psionic, so I'm going psionic for sure.
Yeah, me too. I am not one who hates on the mystics. I know some people do, which is totally fine. I enjoy all three of them. But yeah, the psionic stuff looks really, really cool. So then I think that is
Nice.
going to do it for this week's Chaps Chatting Champs. Thank you everyone for joining us, and have a good week, Brant,
Have a good week, Josh.
and have a good week, everybody. See you next time. Hello and welcome to episode 9 of Chaps Chatting Champs. My name is Brant. Why is this so hard?
And I'm Josh.
Do I say my name is Josh? Or is that a get up and game thing?